Thank you for joining us this morning. 2019 is a very special year for us. This year marks the 30th anniversary of Equality Virginia, 30 years of serving the Commonwealth and working to build a more inclusive Virginia. 2019 also marks a golden opportunity to move equality forward in the Commonwealth. This is the year that Republicans and Democrats will come together to pass protections for gay and transgender Virginians. I'm proud of the momentum we've built over the last 30 years to make sure 2019 is the year we move equality forward in the Commonwealth and pass non-discrimination protections for LGBT people in public employment and housing. This is not new territory for Virginia. For the past 4 and 6 years, respectively, the Senate has passed bills that would provide these very same protections, including just last week when a bipartisan majority of the Senate passed bills that are waiting to be taken up by the Rules Committee in the House of Delegates. The committee process is the most critical time for these bills because that's where we failed for the last 3 years. Why? Because some members of leadership do not yet see that this issue is not controversial, it's common sense. Virginia voters understand that equality is not a Republican or Democrat value, it's a Virginia value. In fact, recent polling just reaffirmed that by showing that voters from all across the Commonwealth, all across the political spectrum, including self-identified Republican primary voters, support protecting gay and transgender people from discrimination. It's clear that Virginians are ready to make this year the year that Republicans and Democrats come together protecting gay and transgender Virginians from discrimination in housing and public employment. Thank you. I'd now like to bring to the podium James Milner, the Executive Director of Virginia Pride.
Good morning. My name is James Milner, and I am the president of the Board of Virginia Pride here in Richmond. I'm a born and bred Virginian and have watched our Commonwealth grow and evolve into a state we can all be proud of. But now it's time for Virginia's Assembly to follow the lead of the Senate and to vote to move equality forward by passing bipartisan legislation to protect LGBTQ people in public employment and housing. Many people are surprised to learn that a government employee can be fired from their job just because of their sexual orientation or gender identity. And gay and transgender people can even be denied housing simply because of who they are or who they love. But unfortunately, LGBTQ people know this fear all too well. Even if we ourselves are never fired from a job because of who we are, we know that we're vulnerable to discrimination in our daily lives, and too many of us spend too much of our time looking over our shoulders in fear. I have a friend who was a teacher at a public elementary school here in Virginia. He loved his job. He was regularly recognized for his work performance. He was beloved by parents and students alike. But because of the constant fear that he would be fired and exposed just for being gay, he had to leave the job. This is just one of countless stories I hear through my work with Virginia Pride. Hardworking gay and transgender Virginians should be able to work for their government and should certainly be able to serve their communities as teachers and firefighters and other first responders without the fear of discrimination. I'm proud to call Virginia home. We as Virginians believe in treating others as they themselves want to be treated. We all can agree that discrimination is wrong and everyone deserves a safe place to call home. It makes me sad that we are still fighting for these basic protections in our daily lives. It's frustrating. We fought so hard to win the freedom to marry, and it's hard knowing that our job or housing could be jeopardized because of an announcement of our marriage in a local paper. At this point, blocking these common sense bipartisan measures is playing politics with our basic rights. And LGBTQ Virginians deserve to know they are protected from discrimination in all areas of their lives. 2019 is the year that Virginia lawmakers can take us one step closer to a Virginia that is safe and welcoming for all people to live, work, and play. Thank you.
Thank you, James. And now please welcome to the podium Zakiya McKenzie, Executive Director of Nations Foundation.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Zakia McKenzie, and I'm a proud Virginian. I was born and raised here in Virginia. I'm a homeowner. I'm a small business owner. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a transgender woman. That means that even though I was raised as a boy, I always knew that something was different about me and that I wasn't a boy at all. I didn't know anyone who was transgender and didn't have the words to describe how I was feeling. When I was 17, I transitioned and began living every day as the woman I knew myself to be. I found friends who were also transgender and connected me to life-saving resources, and now I work every day to provide the same support to transgender people through my nonprofit organization called Nations Foundation. We provide HIV testing, support groups, emergency housing, care services, and a food pantry to Virginians in need with a special focus on transgender folks and people living with HIV. I'm here today to urge our General Assembly to pass non-discrimination protections for gay and transgender Virginians because I see our current crisis firsthand. Transgender people, especially transgender women of color, are vulnerable to discrimination, harassment, and violence just for being who we are. And we need our lawmakers to do something about it. The Senate has passed laws to protect LGBT Virginians from discrimination in public employment and housing, and the General Assembly should do the same to make the state safer for all of us. I hear stories of discrimination every single day. I have personally experienced homelessness because of discrimination. I have lost jobs because I am transgender. And just recently, we had an extremely difficult time finding a new location for our new nation's office because of the community our organization supports. We were able to find a new office location, and we're all settled in now, but the stakes are so much higher for people looking for an apartment that will get them off the street, or even for folks who relocate to Virginia for work and need to find a new home for themselves and their families. At Nations Foundation, we provide emergency housing and a food pantry because we know that too many transgender people are homeless and jobless, which means they can't afford to meet their own basic needs, like caring for health and feeding their families. At Nations, we work every day to provide services that solve the very urgent problems facing our community while advocating for long-term solutions through community education and legislative advocacy to prevent these crises from happening in the first place. These laws are so important for my community. So Virginia lawmakers, I'm asking you, make Virginia safe for me. I'm a homeowner, I'm a business owner, I pay taxes, I contribute to my economy, I serve my community. I just want to be free to be me and be my best me. And everyone in my community just wants the same thing. Please pass these protections in employment and housing and make Virginia safe for me and for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Zakia. And now please welcome to the podium Catherine Oakley, State Legislative Director for Human Rights Campaign.
Hi, my name is Catherine Oakley, and I am the State Legislative Director and Senior Counsel at the Human Rights Campaign, and I'm also a proud Virginian. HRC has been proud to partner with Equality Virginia in pushing for a more equal Commonwealth at the ballot box and through many years of work here in Richmond. Across the Commonwealth of Virginia, HRC has identified more than 1.2 million equality voters, meaning voters who are strong supporters of progressive LGBTQ policies, including marriage equality, equitable family law, and laws that prohibit discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity. These voters are not from one political party. There exists strong bipartisan support for legislation that would give LGBTQ Virginians protections in housing and in public employment. This is a trend that we're seeing across the country. Voters simply have no appetite for discrimination, and they want to be sure that their friends and neighbors are protected in the same way that they are. The Commonwealth is one of 31 states that currently lacks basic non-discrimination protections for LGBTQ people in employment, housing, and places of public accommodation. This bipartisan support comes not only from voters, but from lawmakers as well. Lawmakers in the Senate and in the House of Delegates, where these bills now sit in the Rules Committee waiting for their hearing. These two bills are common sense proposals that would simply give LGBTQ people the same protections that non-LGBTQ Virginians already enjoy. This legislative session, Virginia's lawmakers have a chance to stand up for fairness and equality. It's essential for the future of Virginia that pro-equality legislators in the House act on this common sense proposal and ensure that these long overdue protections are passed. These are basic non-discrimination protections that LGBTQ people need and deserve, and that will make the Commonwealth a more welcoming and inclusive place for all Virginians. HRC joins Equality Virginia in urging lawmakers to act on these bills. And to our friends in the House of Delegates, do not delay. Virginians want their friends and neighbors to be protected from discrimination, and they've waited long enough. Thank you.
I want to thank again Zakiya McKenzie and James Milner from joining us from Nations Foundation and the Virginia Pride Association. And of course, Equality Virginia is happy that we are partnering with Human Rights Campaign. And thank you, Catherine, for coming down today and speaking with us at this press conference.